Buddy, thank you so much for joining. Welcome again to part two, session number two of the Build with AI series, Building Apps Powered by Gemini. Session number two, brought to you by GDG Lawrence. I am Roman Jaquez. I am a Flutter GDE, lead organizer at GDG Lawrence, Google certified cloud architect. Just happy to be here. I just wanted to say again, thank you so much for the support, for all the love that you showed on session number one. You guys made it amazing. Everybody dropping their messages and supporting us on social media, on LinkedIn, on Twitter, everywhere, just mentioning how amazing this session was. This one is going to be amazing. So please stick around, stay tuned. We have a lot of content to give you, and I hope you guys can follow along, because remember, this is a hands-on workshop on how to build Flutter web applications using Project IDX or your local environment, powered by Gemini. So let's start right away, because we have a lot to cover. We have people from all over the place. You guys have been dropping your locations in the chat. Thank you so much. The QA section is already open, so please, you can leave any questions in there and anything. Okay, so I'm going to start right away. And please, just a little thumbs up in the chat, just making sure that we have everything in place and everybody is seeing. Everybody, can see the, okay, perfect. Okay, you guys can see the screen. Awesome, perfect. So first of all, I just wanted to say, this is not just like a one-man show. This is a conglomerate. This is a team effort from a lot of communities all over the world, the US and Canada, and everybody joining. So thank you, all the co-hosting communities across the US and Canada. I see a lot of the people already joining. GDG Culver City, Los Angeles, Fresno, Women Tech Makers, Fresno, Ann Arbor, Detroit, Capital Region, Twin Cities, Toledo, Austin, Cloud, Fremont, and Fremont. Those are my people right there. So thank you so much for joining and for being co-hosting of this amazing session. So thank you for bringing your communities along with you, bring your energy, and so that you want to learn with us together as a community, which is the main goal here. So thank you. Angelina, thank you from Pasadena, California, GDG Los Angeles, right there represented, and WTMs as well. Thank you so much for joining. Let's continue. So again, remember, as is customary, we have to mention the code of conduct. We want to say that, let's all be amazing to one another. No, zero tolerance for harassment or anything bad among each other. No bad blood, no bad vibes. All about fun learning together. So please, let's be excellent to each other. Speak up if you see or say or hear something. Practice saying yes to each other. Let's be kind to one another. If not, there's a QR code in there for the rest of the the code of conduct from Google. So thank you, everybody, for being awesome to each other. Today's session. So let's mention what today's session will entail. So we will be building a Flutter web application. Last week, we developed an application, a Flutter web application, where we were using Gemini as kind of like our backend, and we were creating like a temperature conversion Flutter web application using Project IDX and tapping into Gemini. Today, we're going to be doing multi-modality Flutter and Gemini, where we're going to be building a Pictionary-style app powered by Gemini. You're going to be able to draw. You're going to draw like something on your screen. You're going to send that picture, that drawing, to Gemini, and let's see if Gemini can guess it. So that's exactly what we're going to be doing. It's like a Pictionary-style app powered by Gemini. We're going to be tapping into the multi-modality aspects of Gemini, that you can send more than one type of content, not just text, but you can send text, image, audio, documents. You can send like a full PDF. You can send like a full document, based on the amount of, the token window that Gemini allows you to have. Remember, you can use Gemini for free within certain limits, of course. But please start tapping into those capabilities. So we're going to be building the Flutter web application, that Pictionary-style app. We're going to get a Gemini API key. If you created your API key from last week, you can use the same Gemini API key. So don't have to create another one. Just use the same API key. If you missed last session, you can join our YouTube channel and you can watch it. This one is also being recorded, and we also provided all the codelabs. If you want to follow along on your own at your own pace, please do it. But these two sessions are not connected to each other. This is not a sequence, so it's okay. You can start from scratch today if you want to. So please, please, please make sure to watch the previous session. And there's also codelabs associated with it. We're going to be providing another codelab today as well. So we're going to be using Project IDX so that we can hit the ground running. If you have Flutter already set up on your environment, you can immediately start, hitting the ground running. But if not, like me, I'm going to be doing Project IDX. I already have set up Flutter, but I'm going to be like, devil's advocate. What if I don't have anything installed? You can use Project IDX, which is a web-based IDE, also created by Google, hosted in the Google Cloud, backed by cloud workstations, and you're going to be able to develop Flutter applications in no time. Immediately, you can hit the ground running with that. So get ready for that, because we're going to be distributing some of those links as well. So again, of course, remember Flutter is this amazing UI toolkit supported by Google. It's open source that allows you to build beautiful, high-performance, natively, near-native performance, natively compiled applications in a multi-platform scenario where you could build like Wimwell. All right, cool. Wimwell is that Windows, iOS, macOS, web, Android, Linux, and embedded. The 7 official platforms that Flutter can support, that you can build your applications with one single code base using the Dart programming language. So again, I know I'm preaching to the choir, but Flutter is such an amazing framework to build these type of experiences. Just amazing. And of course, Gemini has come now to completely disrupt the industry, the world, I would say, with its AI capabilities and the large language capabilities. The amazing thing about Gemini is that it gives you direct access to Google's AI. It gives you access to large language models, Gemini being a family of large language models. And you can use the Google AI SDK for Dart if you want to build Gemini-powered Flutter applications. There are other APIs for other types of frameworks and platforms and whatnot, but the Google AI SDK for Dart allows you to build Gemini-powered Flutter applications with just having your API key. And just, you can do some prototyping in Google AI Studio for learning about prompting and whatnot. So please, follow along, because we're going to do a lot of cool things. We also mentioned, remember last week we mentioned about prompt design, but this time I'm giving you a PDF, a free document created by Google on the 101, on the basics of prompt design. You want to be really proficient about prompting, because that's pretty much the key. Prompt is like the command that you give these large language models, and then you expect something back. Depending on the quality and the way that you create your prompts is how you're going to get a proper response from the large language model. You need to learn that. So you have multiple types of prompting. We said free form, structured, and chat. Structured is the one that we're going to be using today, and that we've been using to kind of give it that predefined format. I say, I want you to reply to me this way, and I'm expecting something back, as opposed to being either free form or chat, where you're just like conversing with the large language model in like English language. But if you copy that link, that PDF, this is a free PDF from Google that gives you like the prompting 101. So you just go to tinyurl.com/prompting-101-PDF. It's a completely free, it's created by Google, and then you can learn about the 101s on prompting. So definitely encourage you to download that and just read it in your own time. This is what we're going to be building today. Like I mentioned, we're going to have a Flutter web application where you're going to be able to draw something, and you're going to be sending this information to Gemini. Last week we were just sending text, so that was just regular prompting. Regular single, you can call it single content prompting. Today, we're going to be dealing with multi-part content prompting, where we're going to be sending an image along with the prompt, and then say, Gemini, just make sense of what this image is. What is this? I'm going to draw something. It's not created. It's, you're going to create it from scratch and say, can you guess what this is? And then it's going to reply, oh, this is a house. I don't want you to say it's just a house. Reply to me in a JSON format. That way I can use it in my applications. This is what we talked about, structured prompting and also leveraging Gemini's response schema and response MIME type, because we're going to be telling Gemini, reply to me in a JSON format. That way I can parse it in my application and I can build really cool things. So this is exactly what we're going to be building. I see a question. Is recording of the last week's webinar available? Yes, it is available. Go to the YouTube channel, GDG Lawrence YouTube channel on YouTube, and last week's is recorded. Thank you so much again, Umaid, for joining. So let's continue. So that's exactly what we're going to be doing today. So please follow along. This is then the code lab for today's session. So today's session is a brand new code lab, completely different from last week. If you missed last week, don't fret. Just go to AI-CodeLab-1, and that is last week's code lab. Today's code lab about this Pictionary-style Flutter Web application powered by Gemini is under this URL, or you can scan the QR code. It's tinyurl.com/AI-CodeLab2. Our team is going to be dropping the link in the chat just for you to know that, how to grab it. If you can, copy it. Linda's going to be dropping it in the chat in just a minute. There it is. So AI Code Lab 2, and that will point you to the code lab that, and thank you, Linda, for pinning it. Yes, exactly. So I'm going to show you in just a minute, but yes, we're going to be dealing with that code lab. So thank you so much again for joining, because we're going to have so much fun with this code lab today. And of course, as a token of our appreciation, because you guys are so awesome to us, we're going to have a raffle at the end of the session. And it's going to be the same thing. We're going to have some merch from the Google Merch store. So please join that raffle with that URL right there, tinyurl.com/AI raffle 2. We're going to be raffling that drinkware. This is even cooler than last week. This one, if you press a button at the top, or I think it's in the cap, it lights up and it shows like the dino from the, from Google Chrome when it's offline. It lights up. It's like so cool. So please, we're going to be raffling 3 of those. We're going to be raffling 3 of these drinkware swag. So make sure to sign up, put your name, put your email, and we're going to be reaching out to you. If you're in the US or Canada, you're all set. If you're not in the US or Canada, if we cannot ship it to you, we'll have to compensate you with like a gift card or something. But if not, then, if we can ship it to you somehow, please let us know. But we, US and Canada, you guys are all set. We're going to ship it to you. If you're outside of the US, we may not be able to ship it because it's not me, it's Google. So it's the Google Merch store that has to do the shipping. So we can compensate you with a gift card. But no worries. Please sign up. Anyway, you have a chance to win something. But this is a very cool swag to have. So please sign up. This is, again, as a token of our appreciation for you joining this session and for just being awesome to us. Thank you, Lena, for dropping the link to the raffle. Join the raffle, add your name, add your email. We're going to be raffling that at the end of the session. So stay tuned. And let's start. I think I did a lot of talking, so why don't we start right away? I know you like me, doing these kind of things, but I know that you're really eager to start working. So why don't we start? I'm going to move this over to the side, and I'm going to bring the code lab. So the first thing that Linda dropped in there was the link to our code lab. Remember, you go to tinyurl.com. Let me just show you one more time the code lab. That way you know it. So let's go to the code lab, tinyurl.com/AI-CodeLab2. This takes you to the code lab that you're going to follow step by step, just like last week. And we're going to be using Project IDX for those of you who don't have Flutter installed. But if you do have Flutter installed, please go ahead and use your local environment, okay? And then let's follow along on the code lab. So I'm going to start with the code lab, AI-CodeLab-2. Thank you, Linda, for also dropping the link to the Project IDX, which is exactly what we're going to be doing right now. So let's just walk through the code lab one more time. I'm going to just show you this. And here it is. So the code lab for today, I'm in step number 1. So in the code lab, I say we're going to be building layouts. We're going to be dealing with like river pod, state management, and whatnot. But this is pretty much what we're going to be building. There's going to be a region at the top of the app, a region for you to draw like something. It's very simple. There's a package already that encapsulates all of this. But even if you want to try to do something like this on your own, it's simple. You just have to use a custom painter. You have to tap into the low-level capabilities of Flutter to draw, but just drawing pixels and painting things on the screen is pretty straightforward in Flutter, but this is a nice package that encapsulates that, so I'm going to be using that. You see there's like an app bar that says Pictionary. You draw in this region, then you hit the validate picture button. What this does is it sends this image, it converts the image as a sequence of bytes, and it sends them over to Gemini along with a prompt. And then from there, Gemini is going to say, okay, so this is an image. What type of image it is? Oh, this is a house. It's going to try to make sense of what that is. Let me show you real quick how it works, and then we're going to start. But I'm going to show you even like the full project already set up. So let me show you the project. I already have it done, but again, you can definitely. I'm going to start it from scratch, but I just want to show you pretty much how it works. It's no fun if I just grab all the code and drop it in here. It's no fun. You want to see how it works. You want to see how it's built. I'm going to do it step by step. That way you learn the same way as the experts do. So you want to follow along on that. Linda, can you post a link to the collab from session 1? Yes. So it's the same as this. It's the same as this one, but with just a 1. So if you do AI collab 1, Linda's going to drop the link. Actually, I can drop it right now. If you go to AI Colab 1, it is the one from last week. So I'm going to drop it right here just in case Linda can't. There it is. That's from last week, okay? But we're going to focus on this one for this week. And let me show you how it works. So I'm going to show you like the full application running, okay? I'm going to be going step by step, line by line to show you how to build it as if I'm like a new person coming in, following along on this code lab, because remember, this is a hands-on workshop. So this is a Pictionary, so let me start drawing. So if I'm going to say, let's draw a square with a triangle on top, a little rectangle, one rectangle here, and then something here. Okay, so this looks like a house. Let's see if Gemini interprets that as a house. I click on validate picture, and correct, it is a house. Now, if you want to say, let's try something else. So you click clear, you're going to be able to click clear. Let's try something else. Let's try, something like this. It's going to be like a rectangle like this. I'm going to leave it like that, for example. And then I'm going to hit validate picture. Let's see what Gemini thinks that is. Okay, it's a car, you see? If I try, for example, something else, let's try something weird. Of course, not offensive or anything. Remember the code of conduct. Well, let's try something like this, like this. Okay, I think I did something. It looks like a cherry, but it looks like an apple. Let's see what it thinks it is. So hit validate picture. So you see, it thought it was a cherry. But now if I do this, and they say validate picture, let's see what it thinks it is. So it's an apple. So see, it thought it was an apple. I'm going to clear. I'm going to do something like this. And then I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do validate picture. It's a banana. Now let's try something else. You see, like, you don't have to be an artist. You can just try to make something. Like, what does it think this is? I'm not done yet, but let's try to think what Gemini thinks that is. It's a penguin. It thinks it's a penguin. But that's not what I meant to do. I meant to do this and this, and then this, and like a tail like this. And then if I hit validate picture, then it says a cat. Okay, so you see, that is Gemini, the power of Gemini. Even if while I'm drawing, like if I just do this, like what is it going to think it is? Is it going to say circle? You see, a circle. Instead of saying, oh, this is a cantaloupe or something like that. You see? What if I do this? What if I do this? And then let me see if I can try to do like a lemon, like an orange. There's no color, but why would it know that is something? So I'm going to say this, and let's see what it says. It says a pizza, but it's not a pizza. I didn't mean a pizza. I meant to do something like this, like an orange. There it is. You see, just by adding the little dots, it says, oh, this is an orange. You see? So that's exactly what we're going to be building. Let's start. So we're going to be using Project IDX. Like I mentioned, I'm going to start right from scratch. So that's exactly what we're going to be building. Okay. So I hope you're going to have a lot of fun by building this project along with me. I'm back in the code lab. and I'm going to hit next. So that was the overview of what we're going to be building. Hit next. And here we say, if you want to install Flutter, please go ahead. You don't have to do it for this session. If no, let's use Project IDX because we're going to hit the ground running right away. But if so, install Flutter. This is the way to go about it. Install it in your local machine, and then you can do that. If you're already set up with Flutter, please continue ahead. Keep carrying on. Continue moving forward. If you feel adventurous, continue. Finish the whole thing. Much power to you. But I want to do it step by step so that the folks that are new and want to learn how I build it, so they can see it. Next step is like if you are doing Flutter and you're installing it from scratch, this is how you create the Flutter project. You have to run the command Gemini Pictionary app, Flutter create Gemini Pictionary app. Then once you build a project, you cd into it, and then you run Flutter run -d Chrome, and then you get like the default project that you get from Flutter, from the Flutter project. Hey, Dyer, how you doing? We got people from the Dominican Republic joining. Thank you so much, everybody. So there it is. So you see we're loading like the basic Flutter project. And make sure that before you proceed, you install the dependencies of this project. So we're going to be using Riverpod package. See, for state management, we're going to be using Riverpod. For the Gemini integration, we're going to be using the Google Generative AI package. For the painting package, we're going to be using Finger Painter. It's a very simple package. And last but not least, we're going to be using Flutter Animate. It's an amazing animation package. I definitely recommend it. And then you run this command to add the dependencies to your project, and then we move on, okay? Now, if you're not going to use your local environment for developing this Flutter application, we're going to be using Project IDX. Project IDX is an amazing web-based IDE. And I see a lot of people, like a lot of momentum around Project IDX because it's a cloud-based web IDE that encapsulates all the dependencies for you, and you can build web applications. You can build amazing applications in the cloud without having to install anything local. So all you need is a browser, and then you should be good to go. Make sure that when you do the Project IDX, you add the dependencies. I missed that last week, but I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. So let's do it exactly again. So I'm going to go to Project IDX. This is how you go about it. You type idx.dev, and I believe Linda already dropped the link of Project IDX in the chat. So you go to projectidx.dev, and you click where it says Get Started right here at the top. So I'm going to click Get Started. And then, for example, like you can join with your, I'm going to join with my GDG Lawrence Gmail account so that way you could see it. Right here, you get like this welcome back landing page. And from here, then you can pick the type of template that you want to start with. We're going to be starting with a Flutter template. You have templates for Angular, Next.js, like Python applications and Go and whatnot. But I'm going to pick the Flutter template. So I'm going to click where it says Flutter right there, Flutter. I'm going to call it whatever you want to call it. You can either follow the codelab where I say, okay, you can, build your project, name it whatever you want. But then I'm going to show you how to at least set it up before we get to that point. So I'm going to call my project Gemini, let's call it, Pictionary app, for example. Oh, no, I think it says cannot be more than 20 characters. Let's just call it Gemini Pictionary, and then that's it. So that is a new workspace. It's a Flutter template. This is the name. And I hit create, and I'm going to be creating this project. Actually, not me, but Project IDX is going to build it. It's going to set up the workspace. It's going to initialize the environment. It's like creating a virtual machine on the cloud with all the dependencies already installed. All you have to do is just be awesome and start coding. You have to eliminate, then it eliminates the hassle of having to install all the SDKs, all the dependencies, all those, nooks and crannies, all the little, nuances that you have to install before then you even hit the first line of code. And that's amazing. I definitely recommend it. It's free with one workspace, but if you have a Google developer account, then it gives you 5 workspaces for free. So you need to just make sure to sign up for the Google Developer Program, and then it gives you that. So let's wait for it to start up. And I'm going to show you also how to bring up the terminal. Some people were asking me, how do you open the terminal? Yeah, I show you via the command line, but I'll also show you in Project IDX how to do it. So I'm going to zoom in a little. That way you can see it. The way that you bring up this terminal, for example, you just click here on the hamburger menu on the left-hand side. You just click here on the hamburger, click a terminal, and then new terminal. And then once you do new terminal, then it opens up right here. So you see, it's already setting up the environment. I can close the terminal. You see, I can close it. And then I'm going to go and open up another one again. Click terminal, new terminal, and then you get your terminal. Okay. So make sure that you know how to open the terminal, because that's how we will install some of the dependencies. Right off the gate, you're going to get the basic project, the starter project, just like if you had used your local environment. When you do Flutter, create project, and then the name of your project, you would have gotten exactly this same thing. So I just want to make sure that those of you who are using Project IDX, you are at this point of the game when you created your project, and then you get this counter basic project. Okay, we're going to start from this point. Okay, going back to our step number 4, because we're doing Project IDX, make sure to add the command line, the terminal, and you copy this command, which installs the packages that we're going to be using in this project. Okay, so let me go back to Project IDX. I'm going to go here to Project IDX. I'm going to open the terminal one more time. Either you do Control tilde, like in your keyboard, or hamburger menu, terminal, new terminal. And now you're going to paste this code. I'm going to drop it in the chat as well. So it's Flutter pub add, and then it's going to add Flutter Riverpod. It's going to add Google Generative AI. It's going to add Finger Painter and Flutter Animate. It's going to add those packages that we're going to be using in our project. Okay, so make sure that you add your dependencies. You should be good to go. It shouldn't take more than a few seconds to go with that. And after that, if you want, you can just close a terminal. You may not need it, because now we're going to be using the hot reload capabilities of Project IDX. You just save and it reloads, and you're going to see the changes right away in real time. Okay, so let's start. So let's go back again to our now that we have our environment set up, whether you are already locally set up or you are using Project IDX, we're going to now go to the next step, which is step number 5, get an API key. Do you need to pay for this? No. But if you, let's say, want to use more capabilities about Gemini and you want to hit like the free tier, you have to put your credit card, but not for this case. In this particular case, we're going to set you up with the free tier of the Google Cloud, where using AI Studio, you're going to create a Gemini API key. What this does, it creates a project in the Google Cloud. It gives you certain caps, like, how to, for example, like, certain requests per day without, paying anything. But if you need to, you want to do more testing, more prototyping, then you're going to have to pay, but you're still within like a grace period, within a, you could do a bunch of calls for free still without paying anything. So how to get the API key? Remember, we mentioned if you're new, if you just came today for this session, this is how you get an API key. You have to go to Google AI Studio. You go to Google AI Studio with a Gmail account. Let me show you. I think Linda might drop that link in just a minute. But if you go to aistudio.google.com, it will allow you to not only prototype on your prompting and get really good at prompting, but this is how you get the API key. Okay, so the way to get the API key from Google AI Studio is very obvious. It's right on your left-hand side. There is a huge button that says Get API Key. So if you don't have an API key, let me try to open up like with a brand new account that I don't have an API key. For example, let me try my Roman just codes. Let me see. I think I do. Let me see. So if I click on Get API Key, I don't have any API keys. So this is how you come in by, brand new. So you don't have any API keys. You can create a new project. If you can use an existing Google Cloud project, because the API keys are actually attached to a project. It's not just like a floating API key. They have to create a Google Cloud project, then associate your API key to it. That way they can attach a billing account to it, and then they can charge you in the future. But if you want to create an API key, that's what you do. You click on API, you go to aistudio.google.com, click on API key, then click on create API key. When you click on create API key, what this is doing is it's either gonna select an existing Google Cloud product, a Google Cloud project, or it's gonna create a brand new project in the Google Cloud and then associate your API key. Because I already have an API key, I'm gonna go back, but in your case, you're new. Again, either follow step number 5, step by step, where it tells you how to create the API key. You have to select a project, you create a new project or associate it with an existing one, and then you get an API generated for you. Let me show you now how. In my case, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go back to my account. I'm going to go back to my GDG Lawrence account, and I already have an API key. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to click here where it says API key, and I'm going to copy. So it's a bunch of characters. That is the API key. You're going to need it later in the code. You're going to plug it in, and that is what is going to allow you to make calls into Gemini using the API, so that then you can do inference against a large language model. Okay, so let's continue. Okay. I believe we have a question. How is Gemini different from Vertex AI? Gemini is the large language models. Vertex AI is kind of like the environment where you can use not only Gemini, but you can use other models. You can even bring your own models. Vertex AI is kind of like a sandbox for you to test your own models. You can test Gemini as well. You can fine-tune your own models. You can do like RAG. You can do a lot of things in Vertex AI. But Vertex AI is kind of like a sandbox for testing large language models. Gemini is a large language model, or it's a family of large language models. Remember, you have Gemini Nano, you have Gemini 1.0 Pro, you have 1.5 Pro, you have 1.5 Flash, you have Gemma, you have Gemini Nano. That's a family of large language models, right? So that's Gemini. It's like a realm of AI, large language models, where Vertex AI is like a playground for you to test your large language models. Thank you for your question, Bravia. Okay, so let's continue. I'm gonna copy my API key. You can keep it on the side, but I'm gonna keep it there. So let's go back to, so let's say you got your API key. Can you drop in the chat a thumbs up if you got your API key or you're in the process of doing it? Just real quick, just want to get a pulse from the chat. Do you already have your API key? Do you have it from last week? You can use last week's API key. Thank you, everybody. Umid, Pedro, Alejandro, all of you guys have your API keys. Amazing. Keep that API key secure somewhere. We're going to use it in the code. Lourdes, thank you. Fringe, a lot of people already have your API keys. Now let's start building our application. Remember, if you're doing your application in your local environment, you're good to go. Some of us are going to be doing in Project IDX. So let's start. I'm going to hit now step number 6. Step number 6, I'm going to detail exactly what is it that we're going to be building. So in here, I'm going to be building the application. I show you like a little schematics of what the application will entail. In Flutter, everything is a widget. So the best way that you compartmentalize your application is splitting your application or breaking it up into small, discrete like pieces of feature or of things that the application can do, like the app bar, the painting surface, the validation controls, the validating, the painting validator, all of those things. You divide it into separate things, each of which is actually a widget as well. So widgets create like a hierarchy, a tree of widgets, and that is how you build your application. Your application is not just a humongous build method. You have to compartmentalize your application. You have to accomplish what is called widget composition. You break it into small pieces. That way you can even divide it among teams, or you can tackle things, little by little until you build the whole application. So that is what we're going to be building. Let's start right away. I'm going to move my CodeLab on the side, and we're going to start with a Project IDX completely from scratch. And the way to do that is like you go to Project IDX. In your project, you locate the main.dart right here, the lib, under the lib folder, the main.dart, I'm going to completely clear everything. I don't want anything in that file. I'm going to start from scratch. Remember, you make sure that you install the dependencies before you start this. We're going to keep everything on the main.dart file, but it's recommended that you split your widgets in classes. You could either accomplish like a feature first architecture or a layer first architecture. In this case, for the sake of the tutorial or this workshop, we're just going to keep it all in the main.dart file. Deal? Okay. So let's proceed now and start. I am right now in step number 6. In the bottom part of the step number 6, where I'm going to start now adding the pieces to this application. So again, everything starts from the main.dart file in Flutter. This is the entry point. So I'm in step number 6, where I'm going to add the dependencies of my application. So with a clean slate in the main.dart, I'm going to start adding those dependencies. Let me actually here do like a view word wrap. I want things to wrap a little bit, that way you can see it. So I'm gonna add my dependencies first. These are all the imports of all the packages that I'm going to be using. So make sure to add that. And the first thing that you need to add right under that, in the same code on step number 6, you will see it, is the main method, which is the entry point, is the bootstrapper of your application. Inside of the main method, then you call the run app method. The run app method is the first call that you make into the framework that installs the root widget. In this case, the root widget will be Gemini Pictionary app. This is just a stub, like we're going to create it in a minute. That's why you see the red lines. And because we're going to be using Riverpod as the state management solution, we're going to wrap it inside a provider scope right off the gate. So make sure that you have your main method. Make sure that you have the run app method, and our first widget is going to be called Gemini Pictionary app. So it's going to kind of like, it's going to encompass the whole application right inside of that widget. Moving right along, so let's create the widget that encompasses that, Gemini Pictionary app. So let's press press enter a couple of times, and then you paste the next class that I provided on step number 6, and let's dissect it for a little bit. So this widget, remember, everything in Flutter is a widget. You can either inherit from stateless or stateful widget. In this case, we just want to paint this right away on the screen. So we create this Gemini Pictionary app class that extends stateless widget with overriding the build method. By overriding the build method, you're telling the framework, I want you to install anything that I return out of this build method, put it in the widget tree as a child of this widget. So as a child of this widget, we're going to have the material app, which is a widget that encompasses the material design specifications, all the whole styling of material from like Google. It applies it to our application. And we immediately are going to start installing the first widget right under the root. It's going to be called Gemini Pictionary Home. That's another widget that we're going to be building. So you see, you create a widget inside another widget, inside another widget, and that's how you create your hierarchy. Okay. Thank you, Kevin, for joining. So awesome. So let's continue. So this is the Gemini Pictionary Home widget. So we're going to be installing that widget in just a minute. We're still in step number 6. Okay. Conrad, is there an easy way to switch to dark mode on Project IDX? I think you can, if you go to here, like to manage, if you hear a lower left corner, if you click themes, and then I do color theme, I think my camera is blocking me, but let me try it again. If I do themes, color theme, I think you could do like light mode. Let me see, light contrast. Can you read it better? Or no? I mean, I just wanted to show you at least how it's done. For my eyes, it's a little bit too bright. I'm going to go back again to themes, color theme, and I'm going to do dark again. It works. Yeah, but I'm going to go back to my dark. Okay, so here we go. Yeah, you can switch it. Yeah, you can switch that. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so let's continue. Let me just refresh because like something happened here. So you see, the cool thing is like you could just reload and you're good to go. Let's continue. That was the light. What was that? Like the theme that I picked. I thought I did dark, high contrast, dark. Let's do dark modern because there you go. That's the one I had. I like this. So let's keep it. Okay, perfect. So let's install now the Gemini Pictionary Home widget, which is a home widget, meaning the first widget that is going to launch under the material widget right here. You see? So now we're going to add that code. Let me copy paste it, and then I'm going to dissect it in just a minute. So we're still in step number 6. We haven't gone ahead or anything. So I'm going to copy it right under the previous one. Remember, we're keeping everything in the same material, in the same main.dart file. So this is yet another widget. We're calling it Gemini Pictionary Home. You see, it extends stateless widget, and we're overriding the build method just like normally. But this is going to encompass the meat of our application. Remember like our code lab, we have like these 3 main components: the painting surface, the painting validation controls, and painting validator within a column. So that's exactly what we're going to be doing here, and you see it right here. So we have a scaffold. It's another widget that kind of encompasses a page. We're going to center a widget. We're going to center the contents of a column, and then inside of a column is where we're going to add one widget here, one widget here, and one widget there. We're going to lay them out in a vertical fashion. You see, I'm breaking things up like that as opposed to just like banging code left and right, with no organization. You want to follow this approach. That way, for example, you can designate someone else, well, I see Alejandro. Yes, we will be getting to that point where we will be. Yes, that's why I have widget ref, because it should be consumer widget. That is a typo. But let's not have it for a minute. For example, let's just remove it, because you're not going to need a consumer widget at this point, because this is not going to rebuild. But very good point. That was a typo. It used to be a consumer widget, but now I changed it to a stateless widget. Thank you. That was a great catch. So if you are in the Gemini Pictionary Home, just remove the extra code that was in there. So let's remove that piece. Thank you. Very good catch. So you're going to have a column with those 3 widgets, and then now we're going to start installing. What did we delete? We just removed this parameter here that says widget ref. Initially, I had it as a consumer widget, You can turn it into a consumer widget, but it's an overkill, because we're not going to be doing any rebuilding in this widget. The rebuilding is going to be in the child widgets. But if you just remove this, for example, and keep it the way that it was as a stateless widget, it's actually more performant, because this is not going to be listening to anything, and it's going to be more straightforward. So apologies for that mistake. We just needed to remove that extra parameter in the build method. So let's proceed. Awesome. So now we're going to go to the next step. Remember, from now on, we're going to focus only in this column. We're not going to do anything outside. We're only going to focus in the column. We're going to start adding widgets inside of here. Okay. So let's now all move to step number 7. In step number 7, we're going to add an app bar. An app bar is a very simple widget that is actually a child of a scaffold. You can actually add it as a child of like a column or anything, but it's more common to see it inside of a scaffold widget. An app bar gives you the top header widget, kind of like shows either a title. You can have like some icons, a hamburger menu. That is the app bar, the topmost widget that you usually see in applications. So that is exactly what we're going to be doing here. So in step number 7, I'm saying let's add it as the app bar property of your scaffold in the Gemini Pictionary Home. So let's follow exactly this instruction. So you're going to go to the scaffold inside of the Gemini Pictionary Home, and you're going to be adding the app bar. We're going to be setting this property, app bar. You're going to copy that code. We're going to be adding that app bar, and I'm going to discuss that code in a minute. All you have to do is just grab the code, paste it, and you could do like formatting. I found out that last week also. You could do like format document, and then he formats it for you. If you see here, actually, yeah, let's keep it like that. So the app bar. The app bar is going to be the topmost, and you see already it says like Pictionary. So why does it say Pictionary? Because of this. We added a background of white. Elevation 0, that means how, if it shows like a shadow, so it gives you like a little bit of depth. Center title, true, so that it could center it. Title, then it could be any widget. A title, you can add like text widget, but usually I like to add like other things in there. In this case, I'm adding a row widget. Row is another type of widget that lays things horizontally. So I'm going to add a row with an icon. You see right there, that picture, a little bit of spacing, and then the text that says Pictionary, and then you see it right there. So I just added the app bar, and you see it right there. It's using hot reload. As soon as I save it, you see it being shown on your preview. Okay, let me zoom out a little bit, and then you see this is where we are. Perfect. So we're making great progress. We are right now on step number 7, and I just installed the app bar. So there it is. If you're in the app bar, you're good to go. You're making great progress. So we already have the app bar. Let's proceed to the next pieces. So I'm going to hit next, and we're going to go to step number 8. So in step number 8, now we're going to add the fun stuff. We're going to be adding this painting surface. What is this painting surface? This painting surface is a package from Flutter issued with paste over. Oh, can I show the nesting? Let me show you. Yeah, if you do, make sure that you do the app bar, right? You can just copy. Look, the way that it was before, it was like this. And then when you copy the code, it should look like that. You just copy paste it right over, right inside of the scaffold. It was like this. You just paste it, and then the nesting should already be handled for you on the app bar. You shouldn't be doing much. So you can start all over. Just remove everything over the body, copy paste the code right inside of the scaffold as the app bar property, and then you should be able to not have issues with the indentation. When I did formatting, it does like all of these things because it kind of lights them up. Angelina, I confess it. I like to see it like this because I want to know where my code is, how the indentation is going, and all of that. I don't like it, being done for me either. So make sure that you at least get that part going. That way you can proceed in a good note. Okay. Perfect. So let's continue. We're going to go, like I mentioned, we're going to go to the next step. We're going to go to step number 8, where we're going to be showing the painting surface. So the painting surface, again, is provided by a package called Finger Painter. If you go to pub.dev, you're going to get pub.dev, you're going to get a lot of great packages. Finger Painter is one of those. Finger Painter gives you this surface that you're going to paint on, like with your fingers or with your mouse, and with a I think it supports like stylus as well. So it's a pretty cool package, so I definitely encourage you using it. There are others, but this is a very simple package that just gives you that. You can export an image out of that. That is exactly what we're going to be doing. Before you continue, we need to download one image so that you can add it to your project IDX, because we're going to use it as the background of this painting surface. So if you're in step number 8, I'm going to provide it in the chat, but if you're in step number 8, I'm also going to show you how you can bring assets from your local environment and you can bring it inside of project IDX. So we're going to need an image. Let me show you right here in step number 8. There's a link where I say download this image to your local environment first. So I'm going to click on this image. This image is nothing but a white square. If you have a white square, just plain white on your local environment, use it. And then you just bring it into your local environment. So I'm going to paste this code in the chat. So what I want you to do is download this to your local environment. You can download it on your documents, in your downloads folder, in your desktop, anywhere. So I'm going to click save image as. You're going to download this image, save it locally. I'm going to just leave it in my desktop, for example. I'm going to go to my desktop. Let me see. I think right here in the desktop, I'm just going to drop it there. It's going to be called background image. I think that's what I called it. And I'm going to save it. So make sure to save this image. This, white square. If you have one already, use it. But I'm going to be bringing this into Project IDX. So download that image because you're going to need it, because it's going to be used as the background. It's kind of like your canvas. You're a painter. You need a canvas. You don't paint in the air. You're going to paint it on a white canvas. So this background image, we're going to paint over this background image and use it as a canvas. That way, when we send it to Gemini, Gemini knows that it's just not like a black line. It's actually a surface where we drew a black line on top of it. So make sure you downloaded that. Let me find that image. I think I downloaded it on my desktop. I'm going to show you right here. So if I go to my desktop, that image is there, background image. So I'm going to be adding it here into the project. How do you add it to the project? If I go back to the content, it's going to look like this. So you're going to have to create one folder called assets. Make sure to follow this to the T. So at the root of the project, at the root of your project, you're going to be adding a new folder. Let me zoom it in, zoom it in a little. I'm going to click plus. I'll create a folder called assets. You see, just like that. It's a folder called assets. Now, how do you add stuff to this folder? You can say upload, you can create stuff. I don't know if it supports drag and drop. Let's just try it. If I try something to say it does support drag and drop, so I can just drag it inside of my assets folder. But you need to make sure, and see, it got uploaded. Make sure that the image, this white block, this white image, has the name bgimg.png because it's already in the code. If you're adventurous, if you're already a developer, sure, you can name it anything you want. Just make sure to rename it in the code as well when we use it in a minute. But again, download that image, create a folder called assets in your project, and then you drag that image inside. Or you can even click here and say upload, and you find that image, and then you can add it from your local environment. But we needed that step first, okay? Before we proceeded, we needed to upload that image. Now that we have the image already uploaded, now let's proceed. So now I'm back here where I have my image already added to the assets folder. Now, how can you refer to this image inside of your code? How will Flutter know that there is something in the assets folder? This is the key. You need to go to the pubspec.yaml. Every time that you're using some external assets, you need to notify Flutter through the pubspec.yaml file. So in the pubspec, back in Project IDX, you're going to go to the pubspec.yaml. It's right here on your project, pubspec.yaml. It's all the way at the bottom. Go to the file system and go to the pubspec.yaml. And when you scroll all the way, not all the way at the end, but somewhere where you see this comment right here, but it has to be under Flutter. I kind of like to reuse this because it tells me exactly where to place it. Because this is a YAML, make sure to get the indentation correctly. Otherwise, then you're going to mess it up. So you go to the pubspec.yaml. You use the assets. You know, let's do it again. So you can either uncomment it, right? Assets. You can uncomment all of this as well. But what you're going to put is the word assets slash. What does this mean? This means I want to add assets to my application. There is a folder called assets, but these are the assets of my application. First, you need to tell it the command. What are the assets? But then I happen to call it assets. You could have called it anything else. You would have put the word anything else in here. But I happen to call it assets so that I can keep it consistent. So make sure that inside of your pubspec.yaml, under the Flutter, you're going to see the pub screen. Karen, so let me show you again where the pubspec.yaml is. If I'm zooming in, let me, it's right here on the left-hand side. Let me expand this more. I'm going to zoom it in. All the way at the bottom of your project, there is this pubspec.yaml. Oh, you can see mine, but you cannot see mine for some reason. Can anybody also see my pubspec.yaml here? Okay, it could have been maybe a glitch or something. But the pubspec.yaml, make sure that then once you go to the pubspec.yaml, you go to the pubspec.yaml, go to that section where it says assets. You do then right there where I had the commented version, you do assets slash. What asset slash means says anything inside of this folder, I can refer to it programmatically in code from that folder. Okay, I'm going to be using anything inside of this folder. That way I can refer to it in code and then I can import it. Okay, so this is how you import assets to your folder. So now I can close it. Now I can continue. Let's go back again to the code lab. And remember, I already did all of this. Now let's go back to coding. We did a lot of configuration that was needed, believe me. Now we're going to proceed. So in Flutter, remember when you use RiverPod, which is a state management package, you use providers. Providers kind of like encapsulate your data and provide it to your application. Other widgets that want to listen to it, they can inject those providers, which encapsulate your data that you want to use to rebuild your widgets. So that's exactly what we're doing here in step number 8. We're going to be adding a section where we're going to be adding all our providers. This provider in particular is providing a controller. Some packages in Flutter require a controller. A controller is an entity that kind of like encapsulates all the functionality, empowers your packages, your widgets. This happens to be the painter controller. The finger painter widget has a painter controller, which you set up all the configuration. That way it works the way you want it. So let's copy this provider, which will provide your, you can just scroll all the way down in the main.dart, go all the way down and paste this provider. So again, this provider, what it does is going to be returning a painter controller. The painter controller is what powers the painter surface, the painting surface. We're setting that the pen type is a paintbrush. That way, it paints like that, like a paintbrush. I want the stroke to be black. Every time that I draw is going to be black. You can change your color if you want to. I'm going to add a min stroke width and a max stroke width. Like the minimum stroke is 3, maximum 10. That way it kind of gives you like those soft strokes from a 3 to a 10, and then it keeps it within that range. These are some, additional configuration that you can add to your paint controller, your painter controller. But pretty much you need this to power that drawing surface. So let's continue. That way we can bring all the other pieces. So now let's go back to our Gemini Pictionary home and let's add that stub placeholder widget name called painting surface. That is the one that is going to encapsulate our widget. We're going to add other things, but let's start by just putting the name in place. That way, we move forward. So let's go back up and right here where it says painting surface goes here. Remember, we are inside of the Gemini Pictionary home widget. Inside of the column, I left you this comment. So you're going to remove that comment and you're going to add this new widget called painting surface. I apologize for that. It shouldn't have a semicolon. It should have a comma. So I'm going to fix that, but make sure that you do it. So inside of your column, inside of the children, add the painting surface. Instead of a semicolon, add a comma. With that, then it should fix that issue. But now we're going to be creating and fleshing out this painting surface. The painting surface is going to be the widget where you're going to be drawing. Let's go back to the codelab, and this is the painting surface right here. This is just the whole widget. It's very, very simple. So let's copy it back to our code, and anywhere below in the main.dart, we're going to bring that code, and we're going to discuss it a little bit. So again, this is another class. This is another widget. This time it inherits from consumer stateful widget. The word consumer gives it to you. It tells you that it's part of the RiverPod, and it's a consumer. Every time this consumer, when it listens to a particular provider that emits notifications or changes its state, this widget is going to rebuild. That is the cool thing about Flutter being a reactive framework. Whenever something changes in the state, it rebuilds the widget repaints and shows the data accordingly. So this consumer stateful widget is both a stateful widget, but it's also a consumer. So that is the cool thing about it. So this is where we're going to be placing now our painting surface area. Notice that the error went away from here. So let's continue. After that, now we're going to concentrate only within this, our painting, what did I call the painting surface widget? So we're going to concentrate on this guy right here, on the painting surface state. Right here is where we're going to be adding all of those pieces. So let's start right here is I say inside of the painting surface state, at the top of the state class, add this reference to the painter controller. Remember, a provider is holding that reference of our painter controller, but we need to bring it inside of this class. That way we can inject it into the surface and then the surface can render itself. So I'm going to copy this late painter controller, Late is a keyword in Dart that tells you that, you know, eventually you're going to initialize this instance, but make sure to do, otherwise it's going to blow up. So it's gonna, you know, this is kind of like a more like of a lazy, you know, initialization of things is called late. So you add it here at the top of the class, all the way at the top, just like I say in the collab. So you add that right there at the top of the surface of the painting surface class. You just add it there and you drop it there. Now let's continue. And inside of the initialization of this widget, specifically inside of the init state is a method of stateful widgets that allow you to initialize things, because a stateful widget, remember, it loads itself, it loads the state, but it only initializes it once at the beginning when the widget, you know, installs itself on the widget tree, and then it just stays there. The widget can rebuild thousands of times, but the state remains intact right here. So that is why we put it inside of the init state, because we want to initialize it only once. So inside of our init state right here, you can see it. I'm going to zoom in a little. Right under the init state method, the call to super, we're going to create a method, but first I'm going to add the stuff. This method is going to be called initialize painter controller. Initialize painter controller, I'm going to create this method, but this method is going to be handling, check this out, it's going to be reading the image that is here on the assets folder. It's going to be setting it as the background of our painting surface, kind of like setting the canvas for us to paint on, and initialize this painter control. Okay, so let's go back over and just add this method, and then I'm going to dissect it one more time. So I'm going to copy this, and going back to the code, I'm going to collapse this in a minute. I'm going to collapse that actually. Yeah, here we go. And I'm going to add this anywhere inside of the class. It has to be inside of the class, not outside. We're still inside of the painting surface state. So I'm going to add it. You can add it right under the init state method. I'm just going to paste it there. There it is. And I can do like some, you know, formatting and whatnot. Okay, let's dissect it real quick. So the first thing, remember, a consumer widget can locate services, can locate providers. So that is that's why you get this reference. Riverpod gives you this. It provides you with this, so that way you can locate services, you know, view models and other entities provided to you. So we're accessing the painter controller provider. We're accessing this guy right here. So I want to get a reference of the painter controller. I hold on to it. Now I'm going to read the image that is in the assets folder. This is how you read it. You use the command root bundle.load. We're going to grab the image and we're going to convert it to a byte data. So we're going to like collect the bytes from that image, and then I'm going to use that image's buffer as a, you know, as a sequence of bytes, and I'm going to inject it as the background of this controller. What this will do is, unfortunately, this package doesn't allow me to set like a color and then I'm done. You have to set like a kind of like a background image to be like the canvas, kind of like I was explaining. When you paint, you need a white canvas and then you paint on top of it. So it's pretty much this. We needed a white canvas, a white blanket of white pixels, so we can paint on top of it. So this is exactly what this is doing. Okay. So now that we did that, now we're going to show now we're going to be returning. We're going to go to the build method. Remember, you override the build method so you can install your widgets in there. So we're going to copy now the painter widget, the actual widget where you can paint. It's right here. So I'm going to copy that. Let's copy the painter widget, which is from the finger painter package. So in the code, I tell you, please replace the existing container. There is an existing container right there. It's just an empty thing. You see, it doesn't show anything. So I'm going to delete it, and now I'm going to return the painter. And if you see here, the painter uses the controller. Remember that controller that we set up all the configurations and whatnot. We still have to set the background of white. We give it some size based on the, you know, using the media query size of, that way we can see how wide the screen is. That way we can say, make it the width of the screen, but make it 300 pixels height and cap it to that. And just add like a child, you know, box so that it also shows it as white. So we're trying to force it to be white, a white surface, so we can paint on. Okay, so let's now reload and let's make sure that I can paint on this area on top in here if this works. So if I start doing this, there it is. The painter surface is already installed and your package is good. You should be able to be reading from this image, setting it as the background. Right now, I don't have a way to clear it, but just to, like reload it, of course, we're going to be adding that functionality later in a very decoupled fashion. So here it is, there it is. I can now do like a, like a car or whatever. You see that, like that. And then you reload and then you do whatever you want. But at least we have the first half of this, Pictionary application already set with our painting surface in place. Awesome. Angelina, yours is not working. That's totally fine. Let's review the code one more time. Let's make sure that you got this. Make sure that you do have the image already loaded. It says, can we scan the code for versus my 3? Okay, let's go back again. So remember, so if you start from here from the top, make sure that you add the painting surface widget. Okay. Make sure to add the whole widget underneath it. Perfect. Now you have to concentrate on this class right here on the painting surface. I say from inside of the painting surface widget, now we want to, stay in there. First thing, you need to add the late reference. And maybe I can show you in the code. That way you can compare it with yours. So check it out right here. So you have the painting surface state class. Right underneath it, you need to add the controller. Okay. You overwrite it, and then you have to have this method that I created called initialize painter controller, which gives you now the way to refer to the provider. Remember, this needs to be there, like outside in another place, the painter controller provider. So we pull in the provider, you copy the image. What this is doing is going to read the image from the assets folder. If that doesn't work, try to reload the whole browser one more time. It could be, an issue around that. Then we just set it as the background image, plain and simple. And last but not least, in the build method, if you see, I replaced, there used to be here a container. It used to be return container. So you delete everything inside of the build method, and you bring back the painter object, the painter widget with that configuration, and then you should be able to have, the painting surface area here. Okay. Remember that at the end of this code lab, the full code in there, you can inspect it. You can maybe take a little peek. I don't want you to, do the whole thing at this point because we want to go step by step. But now we're going to take one quick break if you want to grab some water or something. But remember that we also do one little exercise, to kind of, wake you up if you guys are falling asleep, or if you're like, oh, wait, I'm stuck. Let me give a little chance to, catch up. We're going to be doing another pop quiz. So pencils down. Let's do a quick pop quiz. I want to test your knowledge on whatever we've discussed so far in the first hour. So please join us at slido.com or slide.do with the code 1121763. Thank you, Linda, for dropping the link in there. So you just go, let's have some fun. Go to slido.com with code 1121763. You can just click in there. With this pop quiz, that's for the raffle, Kevin. This is for the quiz, but the raffle, thank you for dropping that. At the end of the session, we're going to be doing this. We're just doing this half-time pop quiz before we finish the other part. So join us at Slido. I'm going to bring my Slido. Let's see where everybody is. So I'm going to show people joining at Slido. So please join at Slido with the code 1121763, and let's just test your knowledge on whatever we just tried. So let's start the quiz. Oh, sorry, let's go back one more time. That way we can see how many people are joining. Here we go. All right, you can just join us. Again, it's just one dynamic activity. Just I want to see how people are. You can take this opportunity also to catch up if or try to fix any issue. But at least if you need to get up and get some water, I also need some water. With my Flutter Stanley. Awesome. I like that a lot of folks are joining. So why don't we try? I'm just going to give you a few seconds so that you guys can join. Again, it's not mandatory. This is just a fun activity. I want to see how people are doing. I want to see how people are grasping this information. You could just join by going at slido.com with the code 1121763. Let's give you one more minute. Again, remember, you don't have to join if you don't want to. You can continue doing your stuff. You can continue catching up, but this is just like a fun activity that we like to do halfway through our session. That way we keep it, fresh and keep it, more alive. Awesome. So one more minute to go. And let's see who, again, this is not a competition. This is just a dynamic activity. Remember, an interactive activity to make it engaging, to bring you, quality content from our communities. Awesome. Okay. So 30 seconds to go. Let's start at the top of the minute at 6:16. We're going to start and then we're going to show you. So awesome. So let's go. I'm going to start the quiz. And here we go. So now, first question. It's just 3 questions. Very simple. 3 questions. What type of content, and I'm going to zoom in. That way all of you can see it as well. I think it doesn't zoom in, but anyway, I hope you guys can see it. What type of content can you send as part of a multi-part content prompt to Gemini? And this is a multi-select one, so select all that apply. Is it text, image, video, audio, PDF? So select all that apply. Let's see how it is. I want to see if you kind of understood like what the multi-modality aspect of Gemini entails. So let's take a look. Everybody, I think you guys are torn on the top. Text, image. I see a lot of people are doing everything, and the correct answer is everything. You can send all of this to Gemini. This is the part of the multi-modality capabilities of Gemini. You can send text, image, video, audio, PDF. You can send them all at the same time. 1, 2, 3, multiple combinations. So that's amazing about Gemini and its multimodality capabilities. Let's go to the next one. Second question is, you can tap into Gemini's capabilities for free with certain limits, true or false. Do you have to put your credit card? Is it free? Do you have to pay? You have to keep checking your, bank balance. Otherwise, they give you some hidden charges or anything. Is it really expensive? You hear like other large language models, other providers, something like that. But some of them it's very expensive to try, to try a large language model. I want to try a concept, but I don't have money. I don't want to spend that much money. So let's see what people say. So people are saying true. You can tap into Gemini's capabilities for free with certain limits. A lot of you say true, and that is the correct answer. It is true. You can tap into Gemini's capabilities for free without even putting your credit card. But let's say if you want to expand beyond that, you definitely need to. Awesome. And for the last question, which platform can you build apps powered by Gemini with Flutter? Can you do mobile, iOS and Android? Can you do web? Can you do desktop? Or all of the above? So which platform can you build apps powered by Gemini with Flutter? Pick one and let's see. Okay. So let's see how people are answering. Okay. So I believe is, unanimous decision that Flutter is amazing for building applications in a multi-platform fashion. Regardless of your platform, you can get to Gemini there either one way or another. Flutter can tap into Gemini. That's the beauty of it. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining. Let's see how you guys did. Nick, you're the champion. Awesome job. Karen, Sai, Emmanuel, and Conrad, you guys did amazing. Thank you so much for joining this small halftime little activity. Just wanted to test how you guys are doing. Now let's, abandon the Slido, and let's get back to our workshop. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you guys joining these sessions and making it such a success, making it part of this, making it very interactive. It's not just like me, kind of like a talking head. I want to bring you guys into the experience and make it something memorable. So thank you so much for joining. Let's get back to our workshop. So now we are all the way in step number 8. We already finished number 8. We're able to draw stuff. I hope you guys are also able to draw stuff. Let's go to step number 9. Step number 9, remember what I mentioned, how you build widgets in a decoupled fashion. I created the widget that handles the drawing, but I want to create a widget that communicates with this other widget without knowing about that widget in a decoupled fashion. Very simple. That's why I accomplished widget composition. I'm going to create this widget through which I'll be able to validate the picture, clear the picture, and do a lot of functionality right from here. And then this widget is going to react accordingly. I'm going to be able to grab the image from there. I'm going to be able to clear the surface and whatnot. So for that, we're going to be calling it, we're going to creating another widget, and we're going to call it painting validation controls, because those are the two controls that I'm going to use for like validation. So let me copy that validation control widget. I'm going to go all the way to my, let me zoom out again. I'm going to go to the Gemini Pictionary home widget. Right here, I added a comment for you. All you need to do is just paste it. That's all you need to do. Painting validation control, just paste it right there. See, in this one, I actually did it correctly. I did a comma. I apologize for the first one. But in this one, you just add painting validation controls. That is just a placeholder. Now let's flesh it out. So the painting validation control is just another widget that is going to be holding a row with 2 elevated buttons separated by some spacing. So let me copy that. This is a consumer widget because this is actually a consumer widget. Alejandro, now this time I actually need it as a consumer widget because later I'm going to be tapping into pulling some services from Riverpod. Do we have to delete the widget ref again? No, not this time. This time I got it correct. Yeah, thank you, Karen. Thank you so much. Yes, it was in the beginning. I apologize again. Like I said, I'm going to make a fix on that. But let me copy it one more time. Let's keep that there. Even if it blows up, just keep it there because we're going to need it in a minute. So I'm going to come back over. And anywhere inside of your main.dart, let's paste that code and let's dissect it one more time. So this is a class called painting validation controls, extends consumer widget because we're going to be consuming a service later. This is surrounded by some padding because you see it's already rendering. It has one elevated button with an icon. It has the label validate picture with an icon. I added some spacing and then the other button with the label clear. You see how inside of the unpressed, there's nothing in the unpressed. You could do anything, nothing happens, right? So validate picture, nothing. Clear, nothing. Because here we're going to be hooking up those actions later in a very decoupled fashion using Riverpod. So make sure to keep it like this because we're going to come back to this widget. Okay, so make sure to keep it like that. 2 buttons, just paste that and you should be able to see that. Okay, let me zoom out. And now, I'm still doing this. I hit clear, I hit validate, nothing happens because we're not done yet. Okay, let's go back to our workshop. And, it just shows you, let's confirm that you are in step number 9 and that you're able to, and then you're able to kind of like do still the drawing and show these 2 buttons. Gotcha. Yeah. And Shava hit it right in the nail. Thank you, Shava, also for stepping in. Let's continue now to step number 10 because I think we're making really great progress. But I'm going to just give you a recap on the multi-modality one more time. So multi-modality, what is a multimodal AI? A multimodal AI is a model that can process a wide variety of inputs. Remember, text, images, audio, documents. I mentioned PDF, but the PDF is actually done like this. They split the pages every page converted to an image. They do like OCR, they do like a bunch of crazy stuff, and then they send it to Gemini. But yeah, you can send like a whole PDF. You can send audio, you can send along with a prompt, and then all of those things, you send it as like one content. The way that you use it is using the content.multi, and then content.multi allows you to then send multiple types of parts. Remember last week we talked about parts? We did a text part. Here we're going to be dealing with text parts and data parts. Data parts is kind of like a catch-all that you can just send a bunch of bytes through it, but you need to specify the MIME type of what you're sending in this data part. In our case, we're going to be sending a sequence of bytes, which is our image already converted as a sequence of bytes. We're going to say that this is an image by specifying the MIME type along with the prompt. The prompt is going to say, you are a Pictionary player. Guess the image that I'm going to send you. Reply to me as a JSON, and here's the image. If you just send the prompt, for example, look, if I just go here and I come over and I say, let's go back to the prompt. And then if I come here, for example, like if I say, guess what this image is, and then I hit run, you're like, okay, please provide me with the image. I don't know what you're talking about. I mean, it's smart enough to say, I mean, you need to send me something. Come on, you got to give me something. So I'm gonna say, for example, I'm gonna give it an image of like a house, for example. If I come over here and I say, okay, let me draw a house, and I'm going to like just take a screenshot of this, like real quick, with your permission. I'm just going to grab that, save it locally, and, and actually my desktop. I'm going to drop it here in my desktop. There it is. So now if I come back to my prompt and then I say, let me add the image, let me upload the image. You can either do like sample images, you can, upload and stuff. I think, of course, because I'm using my version of GDG Lawrence, I don't have access to adding the images. But in the case that I did, I just have to add the image and then that's it. But here, at least it's saying it's providing me with an image. Let's go back now. Let's continue. So here I'm sending the image as a stream of bytes, and then is replying to me as a JSON by saying, but I want you to tell me in one specific way. I wanted it to be a JSON, but give it to me in a property called guest image. That way I know what I'm expecting, and then I can parse it accordingly. Alfredo says, can the package export it as a PNG or JPEG and send it? You could do so as well. You could the package exports it right now as a PNG. You can export it. It brings it as a sequence of bytes. And then you can specify the type of MIME type, but you could do, for example, like you can find other packages that give you a JPEG, PNGs, I don't know, SVGs, whatever, and then you send it over. But I think it right now, it requires images that can process, for example, like pixels. And then you could do like a BMP, you could send PNGs, JPEGs, and whatnot. After you do that, I invite you to follow this link to learn more about the multimodality in Gemini. That way you can learn a lot more. But this is pretty much what we're going to be doing. So let's go to the next step and let's wrap it up. So the first thing that I'm going to expect from this Gemini, remember the same way that we did it last time, I expect a payload, like something coming back. Like I want the name of the image after Gemini guesses it. And I want the image again after it has been generated by the painter, the canvas, the painter surface. Give it to me again. That way I can display it to the user that they know that they drew something and the name that Gemini guessed. So that's exactly what we're going to be doing. We're going to be adding a DT, what people call a PODO, a plain old Dart class. I'm going to copy this class and I'm going to bring it over to my project IDX. Anywhere in your code, you can just put it all the way at the bottom, and let's dissect it one more time. It's just a simple class. It's going to encapsulate the name of the image after it has been guessed and the same bytes of the same image bytes, so I can just display it somewhere else. Perfect. Let's continue, and then I'm going to add a provider, a state provider. Remember, state provider is another type of provider that reacts or broadcasts every time you change its state. In this case, we're going to update this state provider with an image result payload once it's populated, and then any widget wants to listen to this is going to react to it. So let's copy this provider. You can add it anywhere also. I'm going to add it, this provider, I'm going to add it right here, like right above the image. That way you know that this provider goes along with this other. Let me do our word wrap again. So this provider goes along with this model. So you see, I am providing that payload. When my widget knows that this payload, this state changed, there's an image and there's a name, I'm going to rebuild and show it to the user. Simple as that. Now we're going to be creating a class that will encapsulate all the functionality of reading the image from the painting surface, telling the user, sending the image, prepping the image for sending it to Gemini, receiving the response, and notifying the UI of those changes. So I'm going to be creating a very simple class. So I'm still right here in the, after the provider. So I'm going to be creating the first, like the scaffold. So let's create a class. You can put it anywhere at the end of the main.dart. I'm going to be adding a class called Gemini Painting Service. You could call it anything, but if you want to follow along and you want to see this, call it like that. It's going to have an instance of ref because I'm going to inject it. So that way from inside a service, you can locate other services and manipulate their state. That way things happen in a reactive fashion. So I'm going to inject it via the constructor. So it's very simple. I'm going to show you now how we're going to be using another provider that will provide this guy. But let's go one step at a time. Now I'm going to add the functionality that will encapsulate the fetching, the converting, and the returning of that of the payload to the UI. That way it knows. So now I'm going to add, remember, we are now inside of this Gemini painting service. I added this comment specifically here where I say rest of the code will go here. Make sure that any code that we do goes here. Okay. Everything is going to go inside of this service. So let's go back, and we have this method called validate picture. This copy the whole method, and then now let's discuss it together. So the validate picture method, let me just bring it over, and I'm going to discuss it with you. That way you can see it. The validate picture is an async method because there are some asynchronous things going on. The first thing that this method is going to do, because I have a reference to the ref, the provider container, I'm going to access the painter controller. Remember the controller which controls the painting surface area? This has a specific method called get image bytes. It's very convenient. I didn't do this method. It was already part of the controller. So anything that you draw here, when you call get image bytes, you're going to get that as an image, as a sequence of bytes that encompass that image. Now I'm going to be creating an instance of the generative model using the Gemini 1.5 Pro. I need to add my API key. Remember to add your API key. I'm going to grab my API key. Let me go get it. Sorry about that. Yeah, I don't need to save any changes. I'm going to copy my API key. I'm going to come back to the code, and we need to paste that key right there. So you need the Gemini 1.5 Pro because that's the one that supports multi-modality, supports images and whatnot. I'm going to tell it, I'm going to use the generation config parameter to tell it, I want you to reply to me as a JSON following the specific schema. So the schema is a JSON object with a property called guest image type string. So Gemini now knows, okay, so you're telling me something and you want me to reply to you in a JSON, and you really want it to be you really want a property called guest image to be a string. Gotcha. Okay, let's do it. After you assemble that, now you assemble the prompt. Remember the multi-part content. The multi-part content, this is the key right here. The content.multi is what allows you to send multiple types of parts of contents so that then you can send it to Gemini. You have to, of course, some of these have to convert it to like a sequence of bytes, the way that I did with the image, and then you can send it over. The first part that we're adding is a text part with the prompt. The prompt says, you are a Pictionary player. Given the provided image, identify its contents, and reply in the form of a JSON payload response containing the following properties: guest image, the name of the image drawn. That's it. If I don't send this, I'm pretty sure that guest image is either gonna send something empty or some other weird stuff, which I don't want to find out right now. But if you are adventurous, please try it. But then the next thing right underneath it that you need to send, like right underneath it, is the image. Usually people send the image first and then the prompt. But in this particular case, because I know that the image is going to go anyway, I'm sending the image. This is the key. So you do data part, you specify the MIME type. Data part has this, you see the parameters called MIME type. You can either say image slash PNG, image slash JPEG, like some of you mentioned. And as the second parameter to the data part is the actual payload, the actual blob. Is it the blob of bytes from the sound, from the image, from a video, from anywhere like that? And then you send it as an image, and then you send the text, and you send the image, and then go, and then just off to the races. You call the generate content out of the model, passing it the content. Then you expect a JSON coming back. So I'm really confident that I'm going to get a JSON back. And then I just receive it. I just run it through the JSON decode method, which grabs the string that says guest image as a JSON. Just it looks exactly like that. And then I just parse it as a JSON, as a map of string of images, a map of string dynamic. And then I just pull the name out of the payload, which I'm expecting it to be in that map, like the value of guest image. And last but not least, again, remember, I am assembling an image result payload, which is expected by the UI. The UI is like listening to this image result, notifier provider. And then I change the state by assembling an image result payload. Once this state changes, once I set it, the image is the UI is gonna react. Oh, there's something new. Let me rebuild with whatever this guy gave me. Okay, he gave me a name and some image bytes. I'm assuming this is an image. Let me display it as an image. So that is exactly what we're gonna be doing now. So with that in place, now we're going to create the bottom part of the widget, which is actually the showing of the image and hooking up the components. That way we can do the hooking up the buttons. That way we can do the validation and the clearing. So let's go back and continue. Of course, we need two more things to add still. The clear functionality. The clear functionality, make sure to add it also inside of the Gemini painting service. I'm going to add it right inside of my service. And the clear method, all it does is it just clears the content of the painting surface, just paints it to white. See, you just have to call the method clear content. And you just set the image result notifier to null. That way it just hides the bottom part of your widget. That's pretty much what the clear functionality is doing. So validate picture will go here. Clear will be hooked up to this. Let's do it right now. But before we do that, remember, as everything in Flutter and using Riverpod, you need a provider that encapsulates this functionality. That way a widget can inject it, can import it, and can use it. So let's copy this provider. I'm just going to copy it and put it right on top of the service. That way we know it is associated with it. So we have a provider that provides this service. Pretty much that's all this is doing. We are in step 11. I hope you guys are making great progress like the way we're doing. I'm going to go now to step number 12. Step number 12 now is adding that widget. So the widget that actually displays the guest value of the image and the image again when I drew it, it's just going to show it in there again. So that is the widget that we're going to be building, and we're almost wrapping up. Again, I appreciate everybody staying all the way till the end. Let's now copy that, the stub name of the widget called Painting Validator. I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to come all the way back to the top widget. Remember, right where we have the Gemini Pictionary home, we're laying our widgets in a vertical fashion. I come right here to this comment where it says painting validator goes here. And that is exactly where I'm going to drop it. So I have my painting validator widget. The name is there, but the widget hasn't been created. Now let's bring the painting validator widget. That way we can see, whatever we've done, whatever Gemini is doing for us. So see, this is the class right here. So I'm going to copy it and then let's discuss it together. So I'm going to copy that painting validator class. So I'm going to copy that. And let's go back to project ID X. I'm going to drop it anywhere in the code. I could even do it like right here, anywhere outside of the Gemini, outside of this, outside of our Gemini Pictionary home. I can even put it like right down here, anywhere in the main.dart, but outside of that class because this is a separate widget. Let's recap it just for a second. It's also a consumer widget because we're going to be consuming. We're going to be watching when this image result notifier fires, whenever the state changes, we want it to react to it. If the image is null, we want to just clear the contents. That's exactly what this is doing. This is simple. If the image payload is null, just clear it, just return like an empty box. But if so, let's create a container with some padding, some borders around it. This is the key right here. Look, we're going to be listening to this image payload, which is an image result payload. Remember, it contains two properties, name and image bytes. So with out of this image payload, I'm going to create an image. Let me zoom in so you can see it. I'm going to create an image from memory, meaning grabbing the bytes that I just drew up top. Those are still in memory. So I'm going to be creating an image from memory bytes. With a dimension of 200 by 200, I'll add some spacing, and I'll create like a column with some labels showing like guest image, and then the name of the actual image that Gemini guessed. Remember, I pull it out of the Gemini's response, I assemble an image result payload, and then I'm consuming it here in the UI, and here we will see the name of the image that Gemini guessed. Let's try that. So let me zoom back out. We still need two more pieces to add. We need to add those two methods, the validate picture and the clear. We need to hook them up to these two buttons. So now let's come back over. And we need to hook up those two buttons. So we're going to go, see, it says hook up the Gemini painting service functionality. So follow the steps exactly. Let's go back to our painting validation controls widget. I'm going to go to that widget, painting validation controls, and it's right here. There it is, painting validation controls. And remember, I left some comments right here in the onPressed, in each onPressed event of each one of the methods. Now we're going to hook up those two methods. So let's start with the validate picture button is right here. The validate picture button, we're going to grab the onPressed code and we're going to replace it right over. So just replace the whole onPressed method like this. And let me recap again what this is doing. So it's an asynchronous method because we're going to be calling that validate picture, which actually goes to Gemini, pulls the image from the painting surface, converts it to an image of bytes, sends it to Gemini, and then expects a response. So it performs it in an asynchronous fashion. So I surround it with I decorate the method with async and await. That way I can call it. Now let's go to the second one, which is the clearing. Sorry, I'm going to copy this and go back over where I'm going to replace in the clear button the onPressed event. So the onPressed event, same as the one above, is going to be calling the clear method in our painting service provider. So with that in place, let me zoom out and I'm going to reload one more time. That way you guys can see it. So with everything already hooked up, now let's start drawing something. So I'm going to be drawing a square with like another square here and a couple of buttons, two antennas, and two things like here and maybe something like this. Can anybody guess what this is? I think I know you guys know, but I'm going to click on validate picture. Let's see if this is working. So I'm going to click on validate. This is a good one. A microwave. It may look like a microwave, but let's see what Gemini says. So validate picture. Oh, it says darkness. And let me show and let me tell you why darkness. Why it says darkness? Because it is not pulling the image correctly. This background image PNG is not pulling it correctly. It is not it is using it says darkness because what is actually being pulled from that from the code is actually just the black lines transparent. So make sure that your root bundle is actually used correctly. Make sure that your assets, you have your background image.png. Make sure that in your pubspec.yaml you have your assets correctly set. I'm gonna try one more time. What I usually do is like I just reload like the whole IDX because I did have that. You got the same response and then it works the next time. It usually, again, it kind of like acts up a little bit. Let's try it. Let's try one more time. Good catch, Karen. I'm gonna try something. Let me try something quicker. So let's do the apple thingy, and then I'm gonna do like a shiny apple, and then if I hit validate picture, it still says darkness because remember, it's not pulling the. If I try to hit it again, let's see what it does. It still says black because it doesn't know. You see, it says darkness or black. It switches back between the two. So let me just reload it. It's because it's not pulling the pixels. Remember what I mentioned? It's not pulling the white pixels from behind. That is why I said, oh, make sure that you import it and make sure that you do that. So here it still says black image. I'm going to grab the code one more time. Remember, if let's say for you, it doesn't work. In this case, it should work, but you make sure to grab the full code right from here, from this public gist. I'm going to grab everything just one more time. But make sure that all of this is set up correctly for you. Otherwise, you will continue getting that issue. So I'm going to be pasting the whole code one more time. It acts up usually like Gemini. That is the reason why I added this piece of code and I make sure that we initialize is because of that, because it was not picking up the pixels correctly. So let's try the Apple thing one more time, and I'll do validate picture. Oh, I'm sorry. I need to add the key. This one doesn't have the API key. Let me grab my API key, of course. So that's why, otherwise I was going to spend the whole night here. So let me grab my API key. There it is. And I'm going to reload it one more time. Yeah, that was a TV. I'm glad that you guys see. Lynn, you were right on the money. So let's do, something like this and validate picture. And it still says darkness. It's because it's not pulling again the image right here from the assets correctly. But at least, for example, like if I grab this code, for example, if I try it even locally, I can show you like the piece of code that I have in here on my local environment. That way we can continue moving forward. Let me show you right here. So I have my Gemini Pictionary application in my local environment. So it's the same code. I just wanted to run it one more time for you. So I do runner, Flutter run -d Chrome, and then I run it. Oh, Shava, it worked for you? You did all of those. For some reason, it's not picking up the background from my assets. It could be, it could be like a glitch in there because you saw it was working at the beginning. So let me show you again. I'm going to try the TV again. Let me try the TV one more time. Let me reload. Sorry, I have to kill this again. I'm running it on my local environment for those of you who are saying. So you see, if you wanted to try this same example on your local environment, you can just copy paste it. Of course, make sure to add the dependencies, add the background image. That way you don't get into this like darkness, black. You see, it didn't throw an error. It's because I told it, you got to return me a JSON. It kept returning a JSON. So let me draw my square with two things, like two and something like this. It's probably think it's like a crab. Let's do validate picture. And then it says television. I'll try your canoe. Let me do I could do this. Like, let me try this. Like, okay, so this could be like a sailboat, something like that. The other day I tried and then you hit clear. I tried this. Like, what is this? Just like that. Look, validate picture. Let's see. It says a fish. But if I do this, It should say a shark. There it is, a shark. So you see, all the only issue here was in my issue in my IDX. It was a initially you saw it working. Why don't we give it one more chance to see if it's going to work now? But anyway, again, thank you so much. This is it, guys. Like, you guys are already done. The only thing that I wanted to show you, for example, let me do this one more time. Let me see if it does something. Yeah, it says black image. That's it. That's fine. I mean, I just need to set my image again. But check this out. So back again to our to our code lab. The only one is just the final touches where I recommend you doing, for example, adding validation, disabling the validate picture if there's nothing in there, adding some animations if you want to. In my case, I just added a light animation. That's where the Flutter animate package comes from. And then that's it. You see how simple it was. Just grabbing like a set of like an image, convert it to a sequence of image bytes, send it to Gemini along with your prompt, specifying what you want in that prompt, and you can build really cool stuff like that. I'm actually building like a bunch of other stuff with Gemini. I'm actually even sending like image frames from a video and recognizing what's in the video just by sending the images. Gemini still recognize a sequence of images as if it was a video. And for example, like you can send data parts like this, for example, like if I go to the code, you see how I have like the data part like this. If you send a bunch of images like this, and then let's say you have a bunch of images, let's say you collect a bunch of images from a video, you split the video into frames and send it like that, and you tell it, tell me what's in this video. It will think it's a video, and it will detect out of all of those frames, and it will reply something to you. Awesome, great. So I know that a few of you may have had an issue or two. Oh, by doing the root bundle, yeah. For some reason, like I had to, like at least for me locally it works. I'm glad that for some of you is also working. But thank you so much again. Oh, you forked that? Yeah, you could definitely do anything you want with this Pictionary thing. Also, thank you so
So,
much.
Roman,
Yes,
I'm
please.
curious about, because you're running a project in IDX. So IDX is a virtual machine. I don't know if they have any issue with sending the data out.
It could. I try to remember at the beginning of this session. I showed it and it worked. It usually,
Okay.
even
But
some
did you
people
run
were
it?
having issues last week
Did you
also.
run in IDX before?
IDX again. It's pretty good. Last week, a couple of people were having issues, like even like spinning it up. So I'll chalk it up to some glitchiness or whatever. But I'm still satisfied with Project IDX. It's pretty cool. But anyway, I just want to thank you again, Kevin, for that comment. Just wanted to say again, thank you so much. Please don't leave because we're gonna do the raffle and we're gonna take some pictures. You can please follow me on social media. Please, let's connect on LinkedIn, on Medium, my YouTube channel. I do also a couple of these things. Just want, and also, of course, I showed you the full code at the end of this lab. There's the full code. So please make sure to grab the whole code, copy paste it. You can try it, inspect it, dissect it, make it your own. Use this code lab for other, sessions that you might want to do, and try to use it, in your own events as well. So pretty good.
So I'm pasting the raffle again. Here.
Yes. Yeah, thank you. That's the link for the raffle. Let's give you like a minute or two for you to join the raffle one more time on behalf of all the GDGs co-hosting this event, our co-organizers, Kevin, Linda, all of you joining this session. I hope you guys picked up a thing or two about Gemini doing multi-modality, sending images, sending text. I hope you guys learned, again, about how to build these applications in that fashion. I know that 2 hours, may sound like a lot, but you saw what we did, and it's pretty substantial. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining. Please join the raffle because we want to reward you as a token of our appreciation for you joining us. Join the raffle. You're going to get that drinkware, that bottle that lights up whenever you press a button. You got to put like 2 batteries, but it's a pretty cool bottle, to be honest with you. So make sure to join the raffle. Kevin already dropped the link. Thank you, Angelina. You've been amazing and very patient with us. Thank you so much for coming to this session, giving us feedback, and just being awesome and helping us out.
Roman, did you
Yes,
ask? Did you answer by any chance all the questions in the Q
I've
and
been
A
I've been
section?
answering some of the questions. Let me see what. Okay, I think a couple of more popped up. We talked about Vertex AI. Yeah, exactly. So can we contact you offline with questions? Office hours, we do it in our Slack channel. So the Slack channel of GDG Lawrence, Kevin, do you think we can grab that link somewhere and maybe drop it in the chat? The Slack channel link, that way we can answer questions for you offline. But please make sure
Yeah,
join our Slack channel.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so I think we got those pretty good. Thank you. I think we got all those questions. Again, thank you so much again. We're going to be now collecting the names. Let's give you one more minute so you can, or why don't we also, Linda, you want to open up? Actually, let's do it before the raffle so that people don't leave. So let's take a picture before the raffle. I'm going to stop sharing so that people just don't leave. If you don't mind opening up your camera, that way we see your beautiful faces. If you're not okay with that, that's totally fine. But we want to celebrate you. We want to celebrate our community. Turn on your camera if you can. Let's take a picture, all of us, to celebrate these type of events where we come together to learn really cool stuff, to learn as a community, to come together. And again, remember, this is our last session. We just wanted to, have a memory of all of this event, and all of you for being so awesome. That's okay if you don't want to open up your camera, but those of you who do will look really nice in the camera. Hey, Fringe, how you doing, buddy? Whoever else, if we have other folks who want to show their camera, Linda, be ready to.
It will take some time to turn everyone presenter mode on. So give me just a second to finish.
That's okay. While you're turning on your camera and showing, make sure to join the raffle in the link. That way we can do the raffle right after this. But we just wanted to take a picture with all of you. Linda, you probably have to do like a couple of screenshots. We'll put it together later. But at least let's just take a picture, all of us. Okay, so I think these are all the people who are showing the camera. That's totally fine. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining. Let's all, smile for the camera. Linda, let us know.
It's not ready yet because I still have people that I didn't turn on.
Hey, Greg, how you doing? I know
I do
thank you
it
so much for joining.
manually,
I met you.
unfortunately. Give me a second. I tell you when I'm done, okay?
Okay, no, I was just saying, Greg, I met you in California. Thank you so much. Thank you for supporting, bringing your community along, and bringing your folks. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining. We're going to continue doing more of these events in the future, but please stay tuned. We also we're going to be bringing the Road to Certification campaign very soon for those of you who are interested in getting certified in the Google Cloud using ML as an ML engineer. We're going to be bringing that campaign soon. But let's all now look at the camera and let's smile. Linda, are we good?
Not yet.
Oh, wow. It's taking a little bit. I should have done the raffle first then, but I didn't want people to leave.
Yeah, I know. Another couple of people. Give me 1 second. Another 4. I'm almost done on the list.
Okay.
So at this point, I turn everyone on. If someone doesn't want to be with the camera on, that's okay. So everyone smile so I can take.
Okay, let's smile.
Do the GDG sign.
Oh, let's do the GDG sign, everybody, and smile to the camera.
Smile.
I promise this is not a gang sign. This is the GDG symbol.
1 second. Keep smiling. I know. I apologize, but I have to do couple, and I have to go. There are 3 pages that I have to take.
That's okay. That's okay. You can do this like Greg. Like meanwhile, because I'm getting my carpal tunnel, I can't keep this position for too long.
And when I take screenshots, they go in the corner down.
Yeah, exactly. They take a little bit. Yes.
Man,
yes.
I have to wait each time. 1 second.
But no, I just want to say thank you again, everybody. Make sure to join the raffle.
I think I'm done with the
awesome. Let me share my screen one more time. Now let's do the raffle. Good luck to everybody. Let me bring the raffle right in here. I will give you 1 more minute. It's 6:58 Eastern time. I'll just give you 30 more seconds if you want to join our raffle for that drinkware. Please join that way. you can get a chance to win that amazing raffle. We're gonna reach out to you, remember, offline, so that way we can give you we can contact you. That way we can send you your drinkware. So good luck to everybody. Let me copy the names. I see a couple of people like okay, I see. Oh, okay, sorry. There may be people like repeated. So if you're repeated, I'm sorry, it's only one person. It's only one per
We cannot
person.
see your raffle. Okay.
But that's okay. Let's do the wheel of names as always. Wheel of names. Let me clear this list and let's put you right here. I see Francois, you're like a couple of times, but that's okay. But if you come out, remember, it's only one time. So let's now again wish everybody luck. Thank you so much for joining. Please follow us on Twitter at GDG Lawrence. Join the our YouTube channel. This session will be there in a little bit. But anyway, again, thank you everybody, to all the GDGs and all of you for joining. Everybody, good luck. If you win, you're gonna get this nice drinkware from Google. So let's spin and good luck, everybody. Okay, let's start. And Bavia, are you there? Yes, awesome. Congrats. We're gonna be reaching out to you. That way we can send you your drinkware. Thank you so much for joining. Congrats. Now let's remove you and let's add, let's spin it one more time. Let's see who's the lucky winner of the second drinkware from Google using the with the dino and thing. That's pretty cool. So let's spin it one more time. The second bottle, our swag. Who's the winner? And the winner is Azam. Azam, are you online? Remember, you have to be present. Awesome. Azam, congratulations. We're gonna reach out to you. That way we can send you your gift. Thank you so much for attending. Congrats to you. And the last one, the last bottle. Let's spin, and good luck to everybody. Let's see. And Nima, congratulations, Nima. Are you present? Hey, Prafu by a whisker, yeah. But just one. Let's see that if Nima is present. Nima, are you online? If not, oh, Mireya, you kind of came a little bit later. Apologize. We're going to reach out to you and we're going to make it up to you somehow. But Nima, you're there. Thank you so much. You are the winner of the third bottle. Congratulations to all of you. Thank you so much again. Let me just put up the thank you slide for all of you. Just want to say one more time, thank you for coming, join our YouTube channel, our Twitter. Please follow us on our YouTube channel. We're going to be posting this session. I hope you guys learned about Flutter and Gemini. This was built with AI campaign from GDG Lawrence. My name is Roman Jaquez. I am a Flutter GDE organizer at GDG Lawrence, cloud architect, Google certified cloud architect. Thank you everybody for coming. Thank you so much. See you until the next one. Please stay tuned for more events coming from GDG Lawrence. Thank you to all the communities who brought their people along and brought their energy and your awesomeness to all of you. Shava, Linda, Kevin, thank you all of you. Kevin, I thought I saw you in there. Kevin Moore, thank you so much. Paul, I hope you're feeling better. Thank you so much for coming. A lot of you, thank you so much. See you next time. Have a great week. And see you until the next one. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Roman. Thank you, Roman,
Roman,
for all your energy.
Thank you. Thank you. See you next time.
Bye-bye.